Chapter 7: Seeing Around the Edge of the Frame. The film editor is one of the few people working on the production of a film who does not know the exact conditions under which it was shot, or has the ability not to know, and who can, at the same time, have a tremendous influence on the film. If you have been on and around the set most of the time, as the actors, the producer, director, cameraman, art director, etc. have been, you can get caught up in the sometimes bloody practicalities of gestation and delivery. And then, when you see the dailies, you can't help, in your mind's eye, seeing around the edge of the frame. You can imagine everything that was there, physically and emotionally, just beyond what was actually photographed. We work like hell to get that shot. It has to be in the film. You, the director in this case, are convinced that what you got was what you wanted, but there's a possibility that you may get to forcing yourself to see it that way because it costs so much in money, time, angst to get it. By the same token, there are occasions when you shoot something that you dislike, when everyone is in a bad mood, and you say under protest, "All right, I'll do this. We'll get this one close-up, and then it's a wrap." Later on, when you look at that take, all you can remember was that hateful moment it was shot, and so you may be blind to the potentials it might have in a different context. The editor, on the other hand, should try to see only what's on the screen, as the audience will. Only in this way can the images be freed from the context of their creation. By focusing on the screen, the editor will, hopefully, use the moments that should be used, even if they may have been shot under duress, and reject moments that should be rejected, even though they cost a terrible amount of money and pain. I guess I'm urging the preservation of a certain kind of virginity. Don't unnecessarily allow yourself to be impregnated by the conditions of shooting. Try to keep up with what's going on, but try to have as little specific knowledge of it as possible because, ultimately, the audience knows nothing about any of this, and you are the ombudsman for the audience. The director, of course, is the person most familiar with all of the things that went on during the shoot, so he is the most burdened with this surplus, beyond the frame information. Between the end of shooting and before the first cut is finished, the very best thing that can happen to the director and the film is that he say goodbye to everyone and disappear for 2 weeks, up to the mountains or down to the sea or out to Mars or somewhere, and try to discharge this surplus. Wherever he goes, he should try to think as much as possible about the things that have absolutely nothing to do with the film. It is difficult but necessary to create a barrier, a cellular wall between shooting and editing. Fred Zinnemann would go climbing in the Alps after the end of shooting, just to put himself in a potentially life-threatening situation where he had to be there, not daydreaming about the film's problems. Then, after a few weeks, he would come down from the Alps, back to Earth. He would sit down in a dark room, alone, the arc light would ignite, and he would watch his film. He would still be inherently brimming with those images from beyond the edge of the frame. A director will never be fully able to forget them. But if he had gone straight from shooting to editing, the confusion would be worse, and he would have gotten the two different thought processes of shooting and editing irrevocably mixed up. Do everything you can to help the director erect this barrier for himself, so that when he first sees the film, he can say, "All right, I'm going to pretend that I had nothing to do with this film. It needs some work. What needs to be done?" And so you try as hard as you can to separate out what you wish from what is actually there, never abandoning your ultimate dreams for the film, but trying as hard as you can to see what is actually on the screen.